It's Monday, OG, and you know what that means. Ready to kick off another week of Stacking Benjamin shows. But before we do that, on behalf of Navy Federal Credit Union and the team here at Stacking Benjamins, want to give a big shout out to the men and women in our armed forces serving the country for another weekend, OG, to keep us safe.
I think they're all looking forward to the Memorial Day weekend.
I think they are.
Everybody takes a break. The nation is undefended from Friday through Monday.
Don't they set up the Chase Lounge on the aircraft carrier deck?
Yeah, with the aviator sunglasses.
Yeah, just imagine the beautiful sunsets out there.
Sure, it's amazing. That and jet fuel.
I love this smell of jet fuel in the morning.
Like every Memorial Day.
The fine people at Navy Federal Credit Union sent me this 1001 Things to Love about military life. I found a good one for today. Check this one out. Number 582, Green Care for Troops. And this is at projectevergreen.com/GCFT, as in Green Care for Troops. projectevergreen.com/GCFT. Guess where that link takes you?
I don't know.
It's an outreach program helped to connect local professionals with military families in need of lawn care maintenance.
Oh.
You're out on deployment, want to keep the lawn looking nice? There it is. So on behalf of the men and women of Stacking Benjamins and the Navy Federal Credit Union, big shout out to our troops. Let's go stack some Benjamins together, OG.
Greetings and salutations, zoo-buppa-doo, and how do you do? I am the great P.T. Flea! I'm in need of your assist. Oh, let's just cut to the chase.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and are you ready for summer? Because we're kicking off the summer season in style by sharing the best deals and thrills from the theme parks around the country with Mr. Theme Park Insider himself, Robert Niles. Plus, how's your savings account looking? Are you adding to it? Here with stats from the MagnifyMoney April Savings Index, we welcome Ken Tumin. And later, we'll cast the Haven Lifeline to VJ, who's wondering whether he should switch from a W-2 employee to a sole proprietor in his side hustle. What's the framework he should use to evaluate this decision? And I'll send you for a loop in my theme park-themed trivia. And now, two guys who are too scared to ride anything but the teacups ride. It's Joe and O-G.
I don't know about that. The teacups, man, you get those things going. Those can be scary as hell.
Not scary, just puke-tastic.
Right. Do not do the teacups after lunch. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Disney Rides for the Win podcast. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe Money on Twitter. And here, kicking off a big week of shows with me, Mr. OG.
So my kid's last week of school. It's our last week before a few days off, although we really don't get any days off, I know. And my message to everyone, keep your together. Everyone knows it's coming. We get it. It's summer. Just keep your together for another week. So that's what I'm bringing today. Joe, I'm going to keep my together.
But do you remember that the last week of school? You're looking out the window. There's leaves on the trees. You can barely stand to sit there all the way through fourth grade.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
I made it further than fourth grade, but yeah, I understand.
It is, though, like the official start of Stacking Benjamin summer, because for those of you new to the podcast, this has become a tradition of ours. Robert Niles kicks off summer. It's like Puxatawny Phil. Robert's our Puxatawny Phil. I don't know if he'd like that or not.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. But we're going to find out if you are venturing back out there, all vaccinated up, ready to go, and looking forward to more normal summer. Man, hopefully. I hope and pray it's more of a normal summer. Robert's going to talk about how theme parks are going to try to lure you back this year. What's new, what's on sale, and even if it's not on sale, how to make sure you don't waste your money on a trip that ends up being miserable. You've seen that. Walking around Disney World, OG, at about 4 p.m. doesn't look like the happiest place on earth.
It doesn't. Nope. Not at
Looks
4 o'clock.
Looks like the most miserable place on earth. So let's not have that trip. But we got some great headlines and a TikTok minute that is sure to make you some money, right?
Well, there's nothing that relieves stress more when you have had a long day, you are completely fried, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I'll just go out to dinner. But then you think about all those calories, all that money out of your wallet, and then you realize that you can eat healthy because you found Factor. Factor is ready in 2 minutes. Factor shops, preps, cooks, and delivers straight to your door, so you have more time for everything you love this spring, and you don't have to worry about eating healthy and going outside your budget because you've got the food sitting there in the fridge that you had pre-planned. What is Factor? Well, Factor has meals built around your goals, whether that's weight loss, overall nutrition, more protein, or GLP-1 support for strength and workout recovery. Check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. Every meal's crafted with functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. Factor bans 175 plus ingredients. No artificial colors or sweeteners, no high fructose corn syrup, no refined seed oils, just nutrient-dense foods. It's fresh, never frozen, over 100 rotating weekly meals, including globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean and Asian, so there's always something new to look forward to. I use Factor. I think you're going to love it too. Head to factormeals.com/SB50off, stackers, and use code SB50off, and you're going to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscriptions only while supplies last until 9/27/2026.
We're going to make you a millionaire during our TikTok minute, so let's get this party started.
Hello, darlings. And now, it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Today's first headline comes to us from investmentnews.com. Hey, move over, Robinhood. Bam, you're not the only one targeting the youngins anymore, OG. Turns out, according to writer Nicole Casperson, that Fidelity democratizes investing for teens. Teens will be able to trade U.S.-listed stocks, Fidelity mutual funds, and most exchange-traded funds with no account fees or commissions. I really think this is long overdue.
I'm just trying to figure out how this is any different than any other child-based account, other than like it puts the kid in charge. It's like I was talking to somebody and they go, "Did somebody just trademark the UTMA?" Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but you never had the kid in charge. You always the UTMA still really has mom or dad in charge, even though it's the kid's money.
Yeah.
You and I both know that here's what happened before this. Kids would go out in the woods behind the school together. They'd huddle around the Robinhood app.
I know where you're going.
Secretly take out their cell phone and, do a few hits of tea or maybe a hog. Probably not many teenagers trading hog.
I doubt it.
GME, getting their GME on. It's the new version of smoking in the boys' room.
Yeah, snuck into mom and dad's bedroom and maybe took some stocks from dad's top dresser drawer and snuck out into the woods.
Right, replaced it with random pieces of paper.
Yeah, he'll never know. Dude, where did you get this? Oh, it's in my dad's drawer.
I was so busy monitoring the bottles of liquor that I forgot that Junior was going to trade the stocks. Fidelity Investments launching a new type of account for teenagers to save and invest their money, according to an announcement last Tuesday. Meet Fidelity Youth Account, platform where teens will be able to trade U.S.-listed stocks, Fidelity mutual funds, and most exchange-traded funds. As I mentioned, no account fees or commissions. The platform also lets 13 to 17-year-olds open savings accounts and debit cards with no account fees or minimums, according to the company's website. We get into a slippery slope with debit cards?
No, I think the debit cards are great. And basically, they're creating their own little cash checking, savings, money market, trading account, whatever, all in one place. So that's good.
And if I'd read on, Nicole actually answers all of my concerns next. The only requirements that the teens, and this is where they get you guys, this is where the teen's parent or guardian must have an existing Fidelity account.
Ooh.
So, hey, we'll take the kids $20 as long as we get mom's money.
Mm-hmm.
Parents can monitor their teens' account activity online and through monthly statements, trade confirmations, and by viewing debit card transactions, and can also set up alerts to notify them of trades, transactions, and cash management activity. Can you see like just like when I played Little League, there were the parents that were into it too much. I told you, Junior, naked call options. What are you doing? What are you wasting my time going long on this stuff? You're putting your whole family to shame, Junior.
If you don't get a day trading alert, are you even doing it right?
Look at this. 8 trades today. That's my girl right there. Bragging to your friends at work. The announcement comes in the heels of a wave of young retail investors in the U.S. exploring trading for the first time. I do think this is great, man. If I had been more exposed to stocks and how stuff worked, and my friends were into stocks when I was in my teens or early 20s, think about how much further ahead you might be.
Oh, I know. Not necessarily trading stocks, but just owning them.
Just getting interested.
Yeah.
I had no idea how any of this stuff worked. I remember in one econ class, we could, buy a few fake shares of a stock. And of course, then you took out the newspaper and your abacus.
Slide rule.
It works a little different today. Hey, it's time for our TikTok video minute. This is the segment of the show where we highlight one fantastic piece of advice from a TikTok creator. And today is definitely not going to disappoint because, OG, you could be a millionaire and you don't even know it. You've got millionaire all over you. You've got an extra $1 million laying around and you're totally just rinsing it down the sink. You want to do better? Do you want the free million?
Yeah, I'd split it with you.
Oh, well, that is very nice of you on a Monday too. That's very nice.
Keeping my together.
What happened to you over the weekend? Who are you? I think that's losing it right there. This is TikTok. Teen executive gives us this advice.
Just how to make $1 million or more with very little effort. Whenever you go to a hotel, get a bunch of free soap instead of buying it from a store. This will save you on average $45
It's amazing. Until you think through those facts. Number one, I'm going to make $1 million by stealing the soap from a hotel.
I'd like that to be the title of my next book.
How I made $1 million stealing soap. How Holiday Inn made me a millionaire.
Yeah. How I spent $200 a night at a Holiday Inn Express to steal soap. My question was,
I think you got to say the word parlayed. How I parlayed $200 a night stays into billions.
To free soap for life. I do have a question about this in general. Maybe we've talked about it or answered it in the past, or someone who's in the industry would know. But you have the little soap bar that's wrapped up in the little plastic thing when you get there. I've never used an entire bar of soap at a hotel stay. Have you?
No.
So what happens to it?
I will tell you, I was listening to, I don't remember what podcast it was. It might've been 99% Invisible, but I don't think it was. It was,
or like the leftover soaps and shampoos. And
there is a company that takes the leftover stuff and reheats it and sanitizes it and puts it back out there.
Got it. So you're using somebody else's used soap. Got it. Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure that that's what I thought was the case. And it's not even just one other person. You're basically using the entire universes of Marriott.
Well, and I don't know that this is everywhere. And if somebody could point me back to this episode that might have heard it too, we'll share it with everybody later on. But this, until my understanding is most of it just was getting thrown away. And there's now some of these companies going, hey, there's an opportunity here to sanitize. And
Isn't soap already sanitary? How does one sanitize something that is in and of itself the very thing that makes one sanitary?
I was going to say something because I thought it was funny, and then I realized this is way too gross to even joke about it.
Yeah.
But if I'm using some soap,
don't do it.
I won't. But you know where I'm going. Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the resanitizing. It's like you need to use antibacterial soap. Isn't soap antibacterial by its nature?
I'm not worried about that. I'm making the antibacterial stuff more antibacterial.
Exactly.
Taking the bacteria out of the stuff that doesn't have bacteria.
This is a wet lake. This river's really wet.
See, we have to re-wet this lake. Turns out it's not wet enough. I'm not even stuck on that.
Oh,
I'm stuck on who the hell spends $45 a month on cleaning on soap? When's the last time you spent This is, I mean, don't get me wrong, the video, and I'll post a link on our show notes page at Stacky Benjamins, or if you get the guide, you've already seen it. StackyBenjamins.com/stacker to get the show guide. But this kid looks pretty clean, but $45 a month on soap.
He's a teenager, so he showers more than most.
This was something that a mentor of mine, and I know, trying to get big lessons out of the TikTok video could probably be a waste of time. But there was a mentor who once said, beware charts and graphs. And don't just look at the end game, which is, hey, if you take $45 a month, you're a millionaire. Okay. I haven't done the math, but that's in the realm of possibility. But the key is $45 worth of hotel soap is where the rubber might meet the road.
Also, it would take 53 years for that to be $45 a month to make you a millionaire, but whatever.
Well, and he looks like he's 15. So there you go. Thanks to Johnny Doubled Up on Twitter for sending that our way. And in our second headline, Magnify Money is out with their April savings index. To dig into that with us, we have a gentleman here with us who not only is a savings analyst for Magnify Money, but also is Deposit Accounts founder, Ken Tumin. Ken, how are you, man?
Hi, Joe. It's great to be with you.
I'm so happy you could go through this with us. Let's walk through the savings index. Exactly what does the savings index monitor that Magnify Money has?
Well, each month we do a survey, and it takes into account or asks people how much they've added to their savings. And it kind of tracks how the people are treating their savings. Are they adding to it or they're not? And also it asks, so what are you saving for? And also, are you taking away? Are you withdrawing from your savings? So it gives kind of a overall picture of how Americans are handling our savings.
We're going to go through the April numbers here in just a second, Ken. But before we dig into that, you guys were doing this all the way through the pandemic. How did savings look throughout the last year?
One interesting thing, after each of the stimulus payments, the month that follows, we saw a spike or an increase in what people were adding to their savings, which is a good sign that people, those at least that were able to keep their jobs, many of them, instead of using it to spend, they used it to add to their savings.
Which is fantastic, because that's actually, we're a little cynical here in Mom's Basement, Ken, and thought that there were a bunch of people spending it on big screen TVs and having a little fun, maybe getting the new PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah, but it turns out people were actually adding to their savings.
What about the other months, though? Because we've heard about this K-shaped recovery where some people doing very well, some people not doing so well. Were you able to see any of that in the survey throughout the pandemic?
Well, one thing we also looked at, too, is by the income levels. And we did find that those had the highest income levels did actually do more savings versus those in the lower income bracket where maybe more of the essentials were needed and you saved less and spent more.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into April then. What did you guys find out this month, Ken?
Well, it was actually a record of our 19-month history of doing this survey. We found that most people, almost half, were actually adding to their savings.
So that is the highest percentage that you've had in the almost 2 years that you've done it. What do you think that says? Try to interpret that for me. What do you think that means?
Well, I think definitely I think the stimulus payments, the latest round, had a lot to do with that. Why it was actually higher than the previous months during the pandemic, I think it's a little hard to say. We would think that we're starting to come out of the pandemic and we'd see some higher levels of spending and a little less savings, but that wasn't the case. That is kind of an interesting development. It might suggest maybe people are starting to make savings more important, and maybe it will be more of a long-term change rather than a short-term change from the pandemic.
Man, what a rainbow that would be, huh? That would be fantastic for all of us money nerds like you and I. Consumers, you saw, though, also seem, and we've reported this on the show before, ready for a vacation.
Yep, that was the number one. Besides, the general savings and emergency fund saving for vacation was the highest purpose goal that people were using their savings for.
Nothing against saving for that, Ken, but we've been reporting a lot lately that, man, you got to start booking that stuff now because it sure feels like everybody Well, everybody wants a rental car. The cruise ships are back in the port. The airlines are all gearing back up again. And I have this feeling it's going to make everything more expensive.
Yeah. When they finally start seeing that surge, it's probably going to be more expensive.
You've got almost 2 years of doing this under your belt. Any idea and any thoughts about where we might be headed this summer? I mean, but I'm not looking at you as Ken, the prognosticator, but you've been doing this not just for the last 19 months, but of course with deposit accounts for a long time. How do you think this looks during the summer? Does it go down just because of normal summer activity coming back?
Yeah, I think we will see more spending and that'll decrease some savings going forward. I mean, it's this matter of time when you get a lot of these restrictions out of the way, people start participating more in the economy. And I think we'll see more spending, and definitely vacations will be one of them, but just going out to eat and doing a lot of those service activities, which was so important to the U.S. economy. So I think we will see, as the pandemic goes away, we'll see the spending increase dramatically. Question is how that's going to affect inflation. That you might see this year is going to be interesting in that regard. We already saw a pretty big rise in inflation. That might continue.
Last question for you, sir, is on interest rates. Obviously, deposit accounts at MagnifyMoney. MagnifyMoney being a sponsor of ours, by the way, where I got in my Ally account through MagnifyMoney comparing savings rates. Where have you seen rates go? Have rates started to finally bump up?
Well, that's kind of the good thing about increasing savings rate is that more people are saving. The bad news is that a lot of that savings goes into deposits at banks. So banks now have flushed with deposits. And also, debt is going down a little bit, people paying off their debt, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, that means banks are having smaller loan balances. So more deposits, fewer loans means banks are having to cut their rates. So we are seeing record low deposit rates, even at online banks like Ally. We're seeing record low deposit rates that were actually lower this year than they were even during the 7 years of the last zero rate environment after the Great Recession. And I think it's been driven by these record deposit levels that we've seen that's just driving the rates down.
Same with CDs?
Yep, CDs are still at record low levels, even at online banks. So we're seeing rates lower than we ever have seen before. And we've been tracking this for more than 10 years.
That's crazy. There is I remember just an old guy story on my end, like talking about 5% and 6% rates back in the late 90s, and thinking of that for a long time is just normal is 5 or 6%. And nowhere near that. You're lucky if you're scoring, 1.
Yeah. 1% is hard to get these days.
Ken, I bet a site or two where people might be able to get more information about this study and about savings in general.
Yep, MagnifyMoney.com. And if you want to also look at deposit rates, depositaccounts.com.
Awesome. And we'll link to both of those in our show notes as usual at StackyBenjamins.com. Ken, thanks for spending a few minutes with us and talking savings rates in the U.S. That's great news this month.
Thanks.
Big thanks to Ken Tumin for hanging out with us for a few minutes. That's great news, OG.
More savers. I like it.
We joke so much about people not saving their stimulus checks.
Yep. But apparently they did.
Yeah. Turns out people are doing the right thing. All right, man. Your one biggest takeaway. What you got?
I actually like this Fidelity account. I was just talking to my oldest about this because, he's got money in a bank and he's got money in his stockpile account that we started with him. And now he's got a TD Ameritrade account that he has. And I like the idea of putting it all together, especially as he's getting a little bit older and the responsibility that he's starting to have around paying for things on his own and budgeting on his own and that sort of thing. So Fidelity putting this all together, I'm a fan.
I will second that emotion and add that I just like starting early, and frankly, if you're in your 50s listening to this and you've not invested, the best time to get started is now, OG. But man, if you've got kids at home or if you're a teenager listening to us, getting out there and just putting a few dollars away and putting them in investments that can beat the heck out of inflation, because that's the way you win, is a powerful thing.
Hey, trivia fans. The basement's ready for Robert Niles to stop by, and not a moment too soon because, as you know, last year I couldn't host my famous neighborhood carnival because of stupid COVID-19. This year's a whole new enchilada because to make up for lost time, I'm going bigger and better than ever. If Robert's taught me anything when he talks about all of these rides, it's that your operation needs a strong identity, something for people to remember. It should be a big name, a name that promises hope and excitement for the huddled masses that we're trying to help out. So, Stackers, I'm pleased to announce the official name of our backyard carnival, Extravaganza. Welcome one, welcome all to the... Thanks, Tracy. The World Texarkana Fair. I know what you're thinking, and I know it's genius, so let's just bypass all that because there's a wicked ending to this little tale I'll tell you in a few minutes. But before I share the lunacy of what happened when I went to register the greatest name on earth so nobody steals it from us, let's get you today's trivia. Speaking of parks, with a strong identity, what ride will you find at every Disney park? I'll be back with your answer faster than you can put your hands in the air like you just don't care.
Well, running a small business, as you may know, like I do, it is super fun, but it can also be very tough. And when it's time to get a loan, it can feel impossible to find the lender that you actually trust. Big banks say no. The internet? Well, that's full of sketchy offers with sky-high rates and fine print you can barely read. Whether you need help covering payroll, managing cash flow, or investing in growth, you deserve better. And that's why I recommend the small business marketplace Fundera, which is powered by NerdWallet. It's a free, easy-to-use platform. It lets you compare real financing offers from trusted lenders, and it's all in one place. And what I like is that you don't need perfect credit to get started. There's no spam. There's no bait and switch. Just personalized options that fit your business needs. Nothing I like better than a place that treats me the way that they would want to be treated. Using Fundera is a super way to quickly compare options and make your best funding move the way any great business owner would. Here's the best part, though. For a limited time, when you visit nerdwallet.com/SB, and fill out the no obligation form, you're going to get VIP treatment and talk with a real person who knows all the ins and outs of small business lending. And you can tell them specifically what you're looking for. They can tell you specifically which options you should probably consider most. Don't risk your business on unreliable lenders. Go to nerdwallet.com/SB to learn more and find the funding you deserve. Fundera Inc., NMLS ID number 1240038. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. I had a breakfast mentoring meeting yesterday with a young woman who was just amazing. She is graduating from college with a degree in wealth management, and she reached out hoping for some pointers. And listen, if somebody's in Texarkana and wants to go into this beautiful field of personal finance and helping people get their money together, that is incredible. But even more incredible is how she reached out, how she was trying to network. And I was having a discussion that finding the right person and avoiding the wrong person for a role, that's what can make or break an organization. And we just don't see that many qualified people. So how do you find them? Well, Indeed sponsored jobs is a boost whenever you need to find quality talent. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. You can stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. You'll match with quality candidates with Indeed's sponsored jobs. Get matched with and hire quality candidates who can drive the results you need. Reach candidates who meet your specific criteria like skills, certifications, or location. It drives me crazy when I'm matched with all kinds of people who aren't a fit. I don't have that kind of time. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 95% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored job. And here's what's cool, Stackers. You're going to get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Stacking Benjamins by saying you heard about Indeed right here at Stacking Benjamins. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Hey, Stackers, it's me, your pal, neighbor Doug. So get this, I'm down registering the name and I'm talking to a nice woman, well, I thought she was nice, named Peggy, trying to register my fair as an official business. Well, like any smart business person, I need a name to roll off your tongue like onomatopoeia or lasagna. And even I can recognize that World Texarkana Fair. Tracy, you're getting on my nerves. That's a mouthful. And the best businesses have shortened versions of their name. Like how American Broadcasting Corporation shortened it to ABC, or, ESPN. Well, nobody knows what that stands for, but, ESPN and NBC, you get it. So I decided to take a page out of their book. And Peggy asks me, what's the name of the business? And I say, WTF. Get this, Peggy starts getting short with me. Sir, I just need to know the name of the business. Okay, Peggy, WTF. Sir, you came here to register your business, so I'm not sure why you're being so belligerent. Belligerent? WTF, lady. WTF. Can you get that through your thick skull? I don't have time to deal with these shenanigans. Plus, I had to finish up my trivia for all you lovely folks. So, I just left. Which reminds me, what is the ride you'll find at every Disney park? If you guessed Dumbo the Flying Elephant, you'd be right. Maybe it's time I just move on to my own signature attraction, Bobbing for Donuts, or BFD for short, since Peggy was no help. See ya!
Well, if you have been around this show for any length of time, you know that our next guest is the creator of the biggest website about theme parks and summer entertainment. He's the number one source we always go to when we're wondering what's hot, what might be in trouble, where are the best places to spend money if we're headed to theme parks, and who's offering discounts. Sometimes, though, OG, he also points out that it's not about the discounts. It's about, as is so often the case, just making sure that the value, even if you're paying full price, is worth it. And sometimes you get a great discount on something, you end up wasting time. And I'm thinking of Harvard researcher Ashley Winans, who was here recently, talking about how we often value discounts, but we don't think about the value of our time. And we do have a limited supply of time, so we want to be careful with that too. So in that vein, time for us to say hello to summer, which means let's say hello to Robert Niles. And the sure sign that summer's on its way, I'm so happy he's here. Mr. Theme Park Insider himself, Robert Niles, is back. How are you, my friend?
I am here. I am ready to have a great time this summer.
I am curious. You are the ultimate theme park insider, the guy I know that knows more about theme parks than anybody, my friend. You can go back to one park this summer, right? You know everything about all the different parks. You've got one choice. Where are you headed?
I would go to a place that I can't currently go to. Honestly, my first choice would be I would love to get over to Universal Studios Japan and see that new Super Nintendo World.
Wow.
But they remain closed due to the pandemic. The borders are closed anyway. But as soon as all that opens up again, I'm going to be pricing tickets to Osaka because that is the thing I have most wanted to see for several years now.
My daughter lives not far from there right now. She teaches English as a second language in Japan. So, yeah.
Yeah. As for stuff in the U.S. that I actually can go visit right now, I am so looking forward to getting on the new Jurassic World Velocicoaster at Universal Orlando's Islands of Adventure. So hyped for that new ride. People are saying this might be the best new coaster in the world.
Tell me about it. Why is it so cool?
It is just kind of the elements that they've put together and the order they've done it. Everyone's just saying it's an absolutely exhilarating ride. And they've put some little pluses on it, too. It's all themed to the fine folks at Jurassic World who, run the safest theme park in the universe, as we all know, decided it would be a great idea to put a roller coaster in the Raptor paddock. I mean, what could go wrong
there? What could possibly happen?
And of course, everything does go terribly wrong, and it's wonderful and exciting and thrilling. And everyone who has been on that, it's in what they call technical rehearsals right now, which is a soft opening. But the fans who have been on have just been raving about it. It officially opens on June 10th. And I'm looking forward to get out there for a little media preview before then.
That's fantastic. I know that for a large segment of our audience that loves theme parks, and you know this better than I do, wearing a mask all day in the heat didn't sound like much fun. So when theme parks open, people largely stayed away. Also, you have, on the other hand, I've had 3 family members that died from COVID. I don't want to get sick. So wearing the mask seems like a good idea. So I want to wear the mask. I don't want to wear the mask. For better or worse, Robert, what's the state of masks in theme parks going to be like, at least early this summer?
Yeah, it is changing constantly. Six Flags today, 6 of their parks just put out guidance saying that they are going with the CDC. So if you're vaccinated, you don't need a mask. If you are not vaccinated, they are recommending that you wear a mask. We can get into the whole sociology on whether people will do that or not. Basically, I think the common sense here that everyone seems to be saying is if you're vaccinated, good for you. Get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated yet and you're 12 or over, go get it as soon as you can. It's widely available now. But bring a mask with you. A lot of parks, even if they're not requiring it outdoors, are requiring it when you're inside. That's the case for Universal and Disney in Florida. The California parks, you still have to have them on it all the time unless you're actively eating. But have it with you, just in case you run into something. Whatever you believe, whatever your status is, if a park asks you to do something, respect that. If they ask you, don't get on this ride, wear the mask, stay in this place, stay separated from people, always follow the park rules. That is the safe and it's the courteous thing to do.
What deals are you seeing parks offer this year to entice people to come back?
It is interesting. There's a lot of experimentation going on right now. A lot of kind of variable pricing happening at this stage. You're not seeing the same type of just across the board deals like, bring in a Coke can or something and get whatever off. It really helps to be following social media, looking at discounters. But in general, there are deals available out there. You just have to kind of go looking for them. Obviously, we've got a page with ticket discounts on our site at themeparkinsider.com you can go to. There are a lot of things available there. But we're not quite seeing the free-for-all in discounting that we've seen in years past because capacity is still controlled at a lot of parks. But there are some deals available if you go look.
But still better, you guys on your site and elsewhere, are you seeing better deals at regional theme parks or at the big boys?
Honestly, at this point, I'm saying the big boys. Universal has some pretty nice deals that are still available. We've got discounts on multi-day tickets at Disneyland, which is, pretty much unheard of in the market at this point. So, there are some deals available there at the big boys. I think that might be just because the regionals just aren't as aggressive as they've been, but it's also really early in the season. And it's really early in a very unpredictable season. So capacities are still down a little bit. People are seeing if the guests are going to be coming back. I'm anticipating that we will be seeing more aggressive discounting from the regional parks later in the summer as they get a handle on what the situation is and they decide to get a little bit more aggressive. But for right now, the regionals, they're doing a little bit, but it's not the type of aggressive discounting we've seen in the past from them.
Boy, so if you're bored in August, maybe go look again. Head to Theme Park Insider someplace in August and maybe score a end of summer deal.
Yeah, I think there may be a lot of opportunities late in the summer this year, particularly as capacity increases, especially in California. They're supposed to be lifting a lot of rules on June 15th, so we'll see what the lay of the land is there. But if you've got all of that inventory all of a sudden coming open in California, that is going to have a ripple effect throughout the industry coast to coast. And I think that a lot of the regional parks, particularly in the Midwest, might decide, we need to compete if Florida and California are ramping up and trying to take a lot of our local visitors away.
And I believe it. And everybody's itching for a trip too. So that
Absolutely.
may move people around. I want to follow up on the second piece of what you said there, which was variable pricing and doing just a little bit of reading on this. Is this like surge pricing with Uber? Is this something that's just going to be a fact of life forever, that it's going to be more on X day and less on a different day?
Yeah, I think that's become the new normal in theme parks at this point. Everybody is worried about load management in this industry right now. Nobody wants to be in the situation where you're turning people away at the gate, but also nobody wants to be in the situation where they're leaving money on the table. So everyone has decided that if you've got a variable number of people who are wanting to show up every day, and you have a constant amount of capacity that you can offer, you need to vary the price in order to smooth out, all those rough edges in the marketplace. So it was just really a matter of getting the technology in place to support that. Back when you were selling paper tickets, you couldn't really do variable pricing schemes. But now that everything is online and run by computers anyway, hey, it's not that difficult to throw in variable pricing into the mix. And, now that we've seen Disney and Universal adopt that, I think, that's just going to be the way things are in this industry going forward.
It sounds like in the future, I'll still be able to score maybe a cheaper ticket, but there were times, and you and I have talked about this, that we all value a deal, but really you're about making sure it's worth the money regardless of what you pay. I know we've talked about that before, but my experience now, I may be in a crowded park, Robert. What you're saying is there's no more go the first 2 weeks of December because nobody's there, because Disney now will be able to price the tickets so cheap that park's going to be full no matter what day it is.
Well, I mean, there's full and then there's packed. Let's put it that way. I don't think there's ever going to be a situation where you're going to see a park wall to wall during the school year the same way that you see it, say, on 4th of July weekend. There'll still be some variance in crowd levels. But yeah, I mean, theme parks hate it when there's a day that you can go in and walk on everything. That means they just haven't gotten enough people through that front gate. With Disney, they've got enough demand that they can get those parks pretty close to full year round. But if you're talking about regional parks where you just don't have that kind of demand on the shoulder seasons, there's still going to be days that they could discount it as much as they wanted, but everything's going to be on a walk-on because kids are, still in school at that point, and maybe they just don't have that kind of demand. So maybe if you're looking for that, 25 rides in one day experience, you're not looking to go to Disney World. You're maybe looking at, a local regional Six Flags, Cedar Fair, or Busch Gardens park.
Lots of great parks there too. I mean, having been to several of those, great entertainment. Let's do a little rapid fire on what's new around the United States, starting with the big boys you mentioned at Universal, the Jurassic Park ride. New at Disney.
New at Disney, look out in California. If you are a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, we've got Avengers Campus opening up for you June 4th, Disney California Adventure. They're going to have a new interactive Spider-Man ride where you can actually shoot webs out of your own wrist at Spider-Bots with Disney magical effects. So that's going to be a big thing. Later this year, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is coming to an expanded France pavilion at Walt Disney World's Epcot. So if you're into that wonderful Pixar movie, you're going to have a chance to shrink down to that size and go running through the kitchens of Paris.
I read a review of that ride on your site on the one from Paris. Sounded like a nice family ride. More of the same at Epcot.
Yeah, you're basically looking, it's a clone of the ride that they installed at the Second Gate Walt Disney Studios Park at the Disneyland Paris Resort several years ago. Wildly popular. It's been the top ride in that park for many years. So they decided they wanted to bring it stateside, and a perfect place to put that in the expanded France Pavilion at Epcot.
Let's go around the nation. The sexiest stuff at the regional parks.
Right now, I think a lot of fans are just waiting to see when the SeaWorld chain announces the opening dates for all those new coasters that were going to debut last year that got delayed because of the pandemic. Big new hybrid coaster, Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa, Pantheon, another great coaster coming in Busch Gardens Williamsburg.
What's a hybrid coaster mean?
Hybrid coaster is basically you took a wooden roller coaster, the Gwazi roller coaster they had that was just getting battered by the Florida sun. You come in there and you put a fresh new iron, steel track on top of the thing, and you reprofile and you make it this crazy new experience.
This is like Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Yeah.
Same company, Rocky Mountain Construction, has been doing this at parks around the country. They first started, I believe, Six Flags Over Texas. But they did that for Steel Vengeance up at Cedar Point, which has gotten great reviews, one of the top 3 or 4 coasters in the country to this day. So they're building a big one at Tampa, and we'll see when it opens. I mean, it's been running testing before. Everyone's just saying, give me an opening date.
I went 2 years ago and rode the one at Cedar Point based on your recommendation. And I about lost my mind. It was, I didn't know if I was going to pass out or throw up. Actually, not throw up, because it was really smooth for as fast as it went. And as many times I went, I lost track of how many times I went upside down, but I went upside down a lot. And just an amazing ride. Ride.
We joke that we don't know why they spent money on seats, because there's so much airtime. You're basically standing up the entire ride.
You totally are. But I interrupted you, sir. You were talking about one of my favorite parks, Busch Gardens Williamsburg.
Oh, yeah. They're putting in Pantheon, which is a new coaster, I believe, from Intamin. And this one, it's going to be one of their launch coasters with some really nice track effects. In fact, it's going to be a lot of the same track effects that they put into that Hagrid's Magical Creatures motorbike adventure at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando a couple years back. I mean, you won't have all that Harry Potter story or anything, but if you're just looking for, the straight up thrill ride experience, Busch Gardens Williamsburg is going to have that for you sometime whenever they get around to opening that. And the rest of that park is just gorgeous too.
It's so nice.
Wonderful family attractions there. That's really one of my favorite parks in America to visit. And Williamsburg has got so many attractions too.
Absolutely. And I've talked to so many people though, Robert, that love Williamsburg and love the history, and they ignore that park. And I think if you like parks at all, spend an extra day there, because even the food for a regional theme park is pretty damn good there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Busch Gardens park. They used to be owned by Anheuser-Busch back in the day, so they were all about the food and beverage, and that tradition has continued now under their current ownership.
What about the Northeast and Midwest?
Well, it's not quite as aggressive a year as you saw before the pandemic. A lot of stuff that was put up for last year is coming up. There's this big Jersey Devil coaster coming to Six Flags Great Adventure. That's another one of those RMC coasters, but it's custom built. So it's like a single rail coaster, which is bizarre if you've ever experienced one of those, because for some reason, you're just as secure on top of that one basic monorail type coaster as you are on a 2-rail coaster. But your mind just doesn't believe that. Your mind thinks that you're just going to go spinning off one side. So you're just bracing yourself, and you're seated in single file too. So there's nobody next to you to grab on. So it just plays with your head a little bit, and it's just so much more of a thrilling ride. So Jersey Devil coaster, that's going to be coming, within the next several weeks, probably.
Oh, and that's in New Jersey.
Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. Yeah. And, it's just Jersey Devil is just a great name and theme for that coaster too. So they just dropped a Harley Quinn Spinsanity, which is one of those swinging pendulum rides at Six Flags America just outside of DC too. Those are just fun rides too. Just a really great way to get way up in the air and spinning around, and don't have lunch just before you go on it. But it's a great deal of fun.
On your site, did you mention something new coming to Dollywood?
Dollywood this year, they just did a retrack on that, partial retrack on the Lightning Rod coaster, which is their top coaster there that people absolutely love. They're leaning into a lot of festivals this year. They're doing a food festival right now, a flower festival right now And so there's a lot of special programming coming to the park this year. But really it's just been kind of the retrack of that. And they also did a retrack on their Mystery Mine roller coaster too. So it's really kind of like new experiences there for coaster fans.
I've been through that area quite a bit. I've never stopped at Dollywood. Is it worth?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Not only is it just because of the rides are great. I mean, they're wonderful. They've got great food there. Hirsch End is known for wonderful customer service, but this is Dolly Parton's park. There is great musical live entertainment in there. They are always bringing in bands from around the country, touring bands, and they've got some great house shows going on there too. You go to the chicken restaurant, and the lady who runs the chicken restaurant is just hilarious. So there are so many great entertainment opportunities at Dollywood.
Don't talk about chicken. We're recording this around lunchtime, my time. not good. Heading a little bit west, as far as you want to go, because you're the master here. But I know, let's go all the way west to start off with. Another one of my favorite kind of quirky parks, Knott's Berry Farm, doing a big celebration this year.
They are celebrating their 100th anniversary of the farm, not the park itself, the actual farm. Knott's Berry Farm isn't just a name. That was literally what was there. They grew boysenberries, which is their big signature fruit. It was a farm, and then they started selling chicken dinners during the Depression, and people queued up for the chicken dinners. So they built a little ghost town to entertain people, and yada, yada, yada. One thing led to another. It's a huge amusement park these days. But, 100 years ago last year, this was postponed because of the pandemic, is when they opened the original Knott's Berry Farm. So they're celebrating that this year. And they've got a fun new ride called Knott's Berry, like the animal, Tales, Return to the Fair, which is a interactive dark ride. It's a shooter-up ride that is a callback to an old school dark ride they had back in the 70s and 80s called Knott's Berry Tale. And it is hilarious. It's a lot of fun. Basically, you've got a little jelly shooter. You're trying to shoot at these coyotes that have been stealing the boysenberry pies that the bear family has been making to take to the fair. And it is filled with so many puns. The two main characters are Boysen Bear and Girlson Bear. Boysen's wife, who cooks all of the pies, is Mary Berry.
Of course. This is like dad joke heaven, Robert.
It is absolute dad joke heaven, and I love it.
I always forget to ask you about the Pacific Northwest. There's so much to see there, but I got to believe in theme park world, there's some cool stuff up there as well.
There is a park up in Idaho, Silverwood. They are debuting their own new Rocky Mountain construction roller coaster. That's where RMC is located up in Idaho, Stunt Pilot. And that is actually opening end of May. So that's going to be a fun new coaster up there for a part of the country that, you're right, doesn't get enough love from the roller coaster industry sometimes, but they're going to be getting what looks like a really nice one up there at Silverwood.
You've got a huge community of people that I know give each other advice. You guys have all kinds of resources at Theme Park Insider. We also have a group, though, and there was somebody asking about Disney in particular on our group page last week. But just a couple basic questions, not just for Disney, but for all these places. Stay on site, or do I stay at the cheap hotel down the street?
Really, you want to look at what the benefits are for staying on site, because it depends. The one I always like to cite is Universal Orlando. If you stay at one of their top 3 hotels there, you get a free front of line pass for up to 5 people in your room the entire time that you're there. That is a huge in fact, actually, sometimes that can cost as much as the room itself if you were just to buy that separately. So you're basically getting like a 4-star hotel room for free by staying there and getting, the front of line access. So that's a wonderful, wonderful deal. You have certain Disney hotels, you're right there within, easy walking distance. You might have special access into parks like the Grand Californian at Disneyland. They have their own little entrance into California Adventure, which can really kind of give you a head start on things. So you want to look at what the particular deals that are being offered for people who are staying on site. But there are also a lot of situations where being off site can be great. Like, at Disneyland, if you want to stay at one of those Harbor Boulevard hotels, you do just walk across the street and you're right there. You don't have any special benefits, but a lot of those have been cut back at a lot of resorts. So it really just comes down to the individual situation. I don't think that's something where you can say one or the other is always the way that you want to go.
Food is something that if people are new to theme parks, they would never think that food is a thing. And yet, especially at the big national parks, food is a big thing. Any restaurants, if you go to any of these parks in particular, that you absolutely love?
Certainly. I mean, the park our readers just keep recommending again and again. If you go to Universal Orlando's Mythos at Islands of Adventure, which
you recommended that. You recommended that to me, and Cheryl and I went there after you recommended it, and holy cow, was this good.
It's a sit-down restaurant, but the value is amazing. You can find better gourmet meals places, but you're going to pay $100 for it. You go here and you can get some just great food there for a fraction of that price. And, just right next door at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, they've got the Three Broomsticks there, and that's another great restaurant. That's more of a kind of a counter service place rather than sit-down waiters come to you, but great food there as well. Disney, if you go around Epcot's World Showcase, there are so many places you can go in there. You can't go wrong. But I love it when parks do things with theme on food. And at that Avengers campus that's opening up at California Adventure, haven't been in there yet. They haven't started serving, but they're doing a Pym test kitchen named after Pym particles from the MCU. And the whole conceit there is that everything is kind of odd shapes and sizes. So they're playing around kind of with the visuals of it. But they're doing a lot of real creative things there, and they've got fun stuff on the menu. And right next door, they've got a little shawarma cart, which is a callback to the end of the first Avengers movie. So there's a lot of fun stuff happening at parks that are, on theme with the various, IP and franchises that are out there. They're just, a lot more fun than going to like your local McDonald's or Chick-fil-A.
I wish you knew something about this stuff. If only you studied it a little or seemed at all excited about it.
It doesn't feel like studying it at all. It's just fun.
We're going to link to themeparkinsider.com on our show notes page. Seriously, all kinds of pieces that, well, in fact, there's a great piece I want to talk to you about. We're out of time, but where do fans want to spend extra money at theme parks? And you actually surveyed the thousands of people that are there, and people want to spend more money on food, which kind of is why I asked that question. And then merchandise second. And then all the new things are there. All of you talked about deals are there. But also, Robert, I wanted to ask you briefly, because I don't think we've done this before in all the years that you've been here. This, I believe, started off as a side hustle, Theme Park Insider, for you. And talk me through the beginning of Theme Park Insider, because we got so many people out there that are maybe thinking about starting a website or thinking about starting a new brand. Tell me about those early days and maybe when you decided it was time to go full time.
Yeah, we celebrated our 20th anniversary last summer.
Crazy.
If you go to our homepage, there's a link down there to 20 great reads from 20 years of Theme Park Insider, which you can see our evolution over the years with that. But yeah, I started this. I was in the newspaper industry, still am tangentially. I write a newspaper column for the Orange County Register that's syndicated. But, I was working full time in newspapers and messing around on newspaper websites. And I decided that I really liked the idea of something that was kind of an interactive guide to something. I knew a lot about theme parks because I'd worked at Disney World in college. So I just kind of did this as kind of a skunk works, a little like a sandbox to play in on the side, just to kind of learn some things, get up my own skills in coding and community development. And yada, yada, yada. Again, one thing led to another. And my side hustle ended up becoming my main job because it just blew up so big. There were so many people coming in to read this. So many people wanted to work with me on this, advertising revenue, commission revenue coming in on the thing that I just said, hey, I'm sick and tired of waiting for the next round of layoffs at newspapers. Let's just go do this, be my own boss, go have fun for a living, and help a whole lot of people find how to have fun themselves and get great, good value in the process.
It still must have been nerve-wracking, though. I can't imagine making this your full-time gig and you still having a little case of the nerves.
It is. I mean, to be honest, my biggest regret is I didn't switch to this full-time earlier. I really should have done it about 6 years before I did make that switch because nerves were part of it. You're just got this idea, I have to have the security of a full-time job and benefits. But frankly, I left a lot of money on the table by leaving this as a side gig when I should have been putting the time into it because my return on investment for my time was so much greater with this project than it was working for somebody else that was, struggling and laying people off every 6 months.
We did the same thing. We took a year to get the podcast rolling, and I really wish I had that year back. So, man, if you're out here listening
absolutely
to Robert and I, get on it. Don't delay.
If you believe in the concept, go with it because you will be rewarded if it's a great concept and you're putting the work into it.
Well, look at just how many people you helped today. It just feels good. It's a ton of fun, and you're making money at the same time. It's awesome. We will link to Theme Park Insider. So happy you were here for two reasons. I get to talk to you again, my friend, but also you just issued in the start of summer for us. So thanks a ton.
Let's get out there.
Oh, man. It's always an adventure here at Mom's house. Nothing I like better.
Is Doug making a Dumbo ride also? Do you think
Doug is the
Dumbo
ride of this? By the way, you got this one right. I got it wrong. I thought it was the carousel. I was sure that they had a carousel everywhere.
I don't think about carousels as a ride.
No?
No. I mean, I think like a ride, like a...
Thanks to Robert Niles for stopping by. You hitting the theme parks this summer?
I haven't been to a Cedar Point, which is kind of, I guess there's Six Flags, but Cedar Point's kind of the one that I always went to, being from Michigan. I haven't been to a Cedar Point forever.
When I visit your house sometime this summer, we should go to Six Flags, because I've enjoyed it the couple times I've gone. Small park, the one in Arlington, not that huge, but really, really a good time. Have you been yet?
No. The kids have gone across the street. There's this gigantic water park across the street.
Huge water. Hurricane.
They've done that.
Is that called Hurricane Bay or something?
I don't know. Yeah. They all have names that sound like Hurricane Thunder. it's whatever apocalypse.
It's next. Ooh, an apocalypse. I'll pay money for that.
I know, exactly.
Apocalypse with water? Sign me up. Hey, let's throw out the Haven Lifeline, OG, and tackle some of life's most important questions. Our friends at Haven Life Insurance Agency put what you value first.
Keeping my together for one more week.
It's your loved ones and your time keeping it together. And that's why they've made buying quality term life insurance actually simple. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/Haven Life now, and you'll get a free quote. I love what they're doing over there at Haven Life, OG, because they're committed to offering this modern way of buying life insurance. And we love fintech and love what they do at Haven Life, because there's no waiting several weeks for a decision. They've got this great customer support, affordable prices. And of course, you've got the backing of a 160-year-old insurer, Mass Mutual. So you're not insuring your life through a company that might or might not be here when you need it, which is a reason why you buy it. Let's throw out the lifeline today to our friend VJ. Say hi, VJ.
Hi, Joe and OG. This is VJ, a long-time listener and a second-time caller. I am a W-2 employee at my full-time job. I also have a side gig where I teach some courses on the weekend, and I am a W-2 employee of that company as well. I was wondering whether it would make more sense to be a sole proprietor instead of a W-2 employee for my side gig. What framework should I use to do the comparison and make a decision? I think I'll have to pay some extra tax as a sole proprietor, but I may get some deductions as well. What calculations should I do to see what is financially more beneficial? Other than money, is there anything else I should be considering? I know this show is for entertainment purpose only, so I will consult the pros as well. Who else should I ask this question to? A CPA or a financial planner? Thanks for everything. See ya.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, VJ. Good to hear your voice again, my friend. Let's dive in.
W-2 versus sole proprietorship, kind of running your own stuff. I mean, some of this is just going to boil down to whether or not the company would be interested in paying you as a sole proprietor versus W-2. But let's talk through some of the differences and some of the things to think about. Right off the bat, one of the major differences between being a W-2 employee and a 1099 employee, because that's how you'd be paid via 1099, is you're solely responsible for all of your taxes. So in your W-2 land, you tell your employer, hey, I want you to withhold this amount of taxes for me. They do it and submit it to the IRS on your behalf, and you're in compliance with all of those things. They're responsible for that. The other part that happens is when you're an employer, you pay some FICA taxes. That FICA tax is split between you and the employer. Well, when you're your own employer, there's no one to split it with. So you actually pay both sides of FICA. So FICA is 7.65, I think. And so you pay that 15.3. There's some deductions and that sort of thing. But just right off the bat, there's increased filing requirements. increased responsibility around you keeping track of it, and a 7.65% increase in total outflows at least. So that's the first thing. Some of the benefits of being a 1099 versus W-2, you have access to your own retirement plans. You can kind of combine retirement plans. If you don't have one through your part-time job, your side hustle, you can create one for yourself. Now, it's still going to be limited based on your total compensation, and you'll have to work through that with the CPA, but you'll have some options there. And then you're talking about deductions. The other thing that I'm thinking about is some of those other expenses associated with working that side hustle become deductible. Maybe mileage if you're traveling to a client's house or office. If you have equipment and supplies that you need to purchase, in the regular course of your business would become deductible. So that can lower the taxable income as well. But mostly it's just around the freedom. W-2 kind of implies a certain amount of responsibility to your employer, whereas 1099, by definition, you're an independent contractor. So you get 1099 wages, and sometimes you work them, sometimes you don't, and you're in charge of it. So I don't think it's an easy calculation. I don't think that there's a break even because so much of it's going to be flexible. But those would be kind of the first major things. And then who else could you involve in this discussion was a little tongue in cheek, I know, but in all seriousness, this would be a good exercise for your CPA to work through and say, hey, I've got the option of turning this into a W-2 job, turning it from a W-2 job to a 1099 job. What do you think? What would be some options for me, and how would this work? And they can run some quick tax calculations to give you an idea of net outcomes.
Yeah, I think that's great because a lot of self-employed people, to VJ's point, OG, don't even know the math to work through. Don't know what the critical points are to examine, to even think about this.
Yeah, it's just not as simple as flipping a switch. There's increased responsibility when you're self-employed, and including quarterly payments. And if you're not good with holding on to your own money, guess what? You're not going to be a great 1099 employee because you're going to get that surprise tax bill from the CPA at the end of the year. And he says, oh, you made 20 grand doing your side hustle. That's awesome. I hope you set aside 7,000 because that's how much you owe, plus $1,000 penalty because you didn't pay last January. It's weird stuff like that you have to have good systems around to keep track of. Now, it can be more beneficial for sure, but you got to know what you're getting yourself into.
I think it's important too to know that it's not just a give, it's a give and take, right? Like if I don't W-2 myself some money today and instead pay myself an ownership interest, OG, there's going to be some hell to pay later on, but through possibly less Social Security money coming in.
Yeah, there's lots of flexibility depending on how you're talking about an S corp versus sole proprietorship, and you start getting into different taxations, and that's flexible too, and can be beneficial. But now you increase complexity there as you have to have separate tax filings and different tax filing deadlines and all these other sorts of things. So none of it's right or wrong. It's just, is the juice worth the squeeze, basically, is what we're trying to get to.
Yeah, that's good. And a good opportunity. I think, VJ, this is the type of thing where I would definitely sit down with somebody and walk them through how much money you make now. What's your Social Security picture look like now for the future? What types of things, like OG was talking about, you can write off? I think that's great stuff, OG. Man, you're certainly keeping it together.
Keeping my together.
Staying focused for the entire episode. That's great. Hey, if like VJ, you got a question for us, head to stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail, and we'll be sure to throw a Haven Lifeline to you as well. And for being brave, our friend Gertrude going to send VJ a little SB swag, the Haven Life Greatest Money Show on Earth t-shirt, one of my favorites. And by the way, they just changed the color. Brad wrote to me and said, hey, I think it's time to change it up. Going to change it up. So the old t-shirts now, Haven Life t-shirts, officially a collectible.
They're vintage.
I'm sure you'll start seeing them on eBay for tons of dollars. All right, that's going to do it for today. A few housekeeping points. Thanks to everybody who's written me lately about the show and questions that they've always had about the show. I think once people, OG, heard that I'm interested in talking about how we make it. And of course, we just had on Tuesday, a couple weeks ago, behind the scenes look at how we make the show. I love these discussions because it seemed to find that while people have thought about their point of view with the show, looking at it from the creator point of view, and me also hearing what you really like about the podcast and what we do, just fantastic conversations. Also, I'm excited on that front. And no matter what business you're in, I'm so excited to get back to conferences. In August, going to head out to Podcast Movement Conference, where a bunch of podcast creators, if you've got a podcast and you're not going to Podcast Movement or Podfest is another good one, I highly recommend these conferences. And I just found out that I will be on a panel this year, OG, with Gabby Dunn, Paula Pant, and the panel will be moderated by John Wardock, who of course brought us to Westwood One, AKA Cumulus now, as they call it. So go to conferences. You'll learn a ton and be surrounded by people who are also doing the creative stuff that you're doing. If you'd like to get a guide to the shows every Monday and Wednesday for those two shows where we have a lot of different topics, head to stackingbenjamins.com/stacker. And you'll get not just that, but you'll also get our series of weekly lessons, currently 19 weeks long, but we're adding to that all the time, making our way to 52 lessons, as well as, of course, the guides, stackingbenjamins.com/stacker. Last but not least, if you're looking for money help and need better financial advisors in your corner, OG and his team are taking new clients. So head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG. Because the first step there is to get on their calendar so you can talk to them about how to make better decisions in 2021 and beyond with your money, how to get your financial plan together. It's about time. It's about time, and you deserve it. Last, pre-orders are super important for any new book coming out, and my new book with Emily Guy Birkin coming December 28th. And if you'd like to pre-order it and then bring it to an event, I'll be happy to sign the book for you. But I think you're going to love it. The book is called Stacked, Your Super Serious Guide to Modern Money Management. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/stacked. All right, that's going to do it for today. You got it from here, Doug. What should we have learned today?
So, what should we have learned today? First, take a lesson from our headline. Know a teen in your area? Help them start early, getting interested in investing. It's better to make some mistakes with a few dollars than to mess up with a lot of money down the line. Second, take a lesson from Robert Niles. Theme parks are opening up. Start planning your next family trip by looking for discounts and comparing costs with benefits. Sometimes going upscale, like at Universal hotels, can pay for those additional costs with some pretty big perks. But the big lesson? When I told Joe's mom I was going to call the fair WTF, all she kept asking me was, "What the fuck? Really? I'm trying to have a serious conversation and nobody wants to engage. WTF is that?" Oh. Well, I mean, that's your dirty mind, not mine. The WTF is on, people. WTF! To learn more about our guests and for more resources, you can head to our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com. To learn more about the latest and greatest in the world of theme parks, just head over to themeparkinsider.com. This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, produced by Richie Rutter-Reese, and engineered by the amazing Steve Stewart. Online, visit us on Twitter at SBenjaminsCast or on our Facebook page. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and I just jumped the shark. SB Podcasts may receive payment on the show from sponsors and guests in the form of books, giveaway items, discounts, or other remunerations. That's a big word. There's no way you take advice from these dorks, but like Joe's mom always says, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only, and before making any financial decisions, consult with a real financial advisor.
So imagine that your workplace, OG, is Red Lobster, except your role is to be the featured ingredient in most people's dinner. You only got to show up to work one day. It's pretty easy that way. The bad news is you're probably not coming back home from work. This is from Fox News. This is from Michael Holland. This is One Lucky Lobster. Michael writes, the lobster chain Red Lobster is known for having a big tank in the front of each of its locations full of lobsters. Are you Red Lobster fan?
Do I like lobster? Yes. Mm-hmm. I like lobster. I also like Cheddar Bay biscuits.
How long has it been since you've been inside of a Red Lobster, though?
I'll set the over-under at 11 years. I don't know.
I thought of Red Lobster and thought of like going out to eat with grandma, right?
Yes. Or
and also,
who else takes you to Red Lobster?
And also,
duh,
not very good service. I will tell you, if you're going down I-30 and you're coming through Texarkana, our local Red Lobster, Cheryl and I went once. I don't even remember why we went, but we went once, and the service at our Red Lobster is so damn good. And I'll tell you, I go to Red Lobster now 4 times, maybe 5 times a year, but I only go to this one. I go to the one in my hometown because I don't know. It's a great experience. Whoever the manager is of our Red Lobster does a heck of a job. But if you've never been in a Red Lobster, he's right. There is a big tank and it's full of lobsters right where you're waiting for them to take you to your table.
They're all sitting there and they're like, eat me.
They're like, oh, please no. These animals are destined to end up on someone's dinner plate, but that wasn't the case for one lobster in Virginia. Turns out being a rare specimen could have its perks. Lobster in question is also referred to as one of the rarest lobsters in the world, Inside Nova reports. That made it even more of a surprise when it turned up at a Red Lobster in Manassas. Fortunately, the lobster was noticed while it was still alive, and it was rescued for being served as dinner. Could you imagine, like, a marine biologist decides to go to Red Lobster with the family?
The marine biologist.
Hey, you know where we got to go? I was going to go to this 5-star restaurant with all of you, but I was just thinking Red Lobster sounds good. You know, because it's what I do every day. You remember how we said earlier in the show to keep work at work? Somebody violated the rule, but they go in there and they're looking in the lobster tank.
I just want to know how that conversation went down. Hey, can I talk to a manager? Yes, sir. Is there something wrong? Yeah, I need to talk to a manager right away. And then you've got like the 27-year-old manager that comes over and you're like, yeah, that lobster, it's endangered. Like, yeah, it is. Sure is. We're fixing to eat it.
About 20 more minutes.
I know. We're going to dump him in some hot water and crisp him up nicely. Like, no.
A little butter.
You got to save him.
Yeah. The animal, nicknamed Freckles due to its appearance, well, there you go, is a calico lobster. According to the news outlet, these sorts of lobsters are named for the spotted design appear on their shell and only occur in about 1 in every 30 million lobsters. Freckle has been donated to the Virginia Living Museum for its lobster display. But does Freckles know the difference?
I was going to say, did they donate them at $11.99 a pound?
If Freckles is in one take, it's like death row. That goes to another take. It's like, oh, great. This is like a longer death row. In a statement obtained by Fox News, spokesperson for Red Lobster said, calico-colored lobsters like Freckles are so rare, it was almost unbelievable that we received one. We're so proud of our employees for recognizing that Freckles was so special and for reaching out so we could make arrangements for rescue. We appreciate the help of our friends at the Akron Zoo who made the connection to the Virginia Living Museum, where Freckles is now in quarantine before joining the lobster. So they even have quarantine at the zoo.
You know, due to COVID.
Due to COVID, yeah. We'll shut it right there. Due to COVID.